Hello my lovely viewers and welcome back to my channel. I welcome you to another video where we take a look into the contentious issue of legacy admissions, recently banned in California's colleges. Now we hear from different individuals expressing their frustrations over the stark disparities in the admissions process, particularly the historical favoritism shown to legacy students, often at the expense of qualified candidates from marginalized backgrounds. Now, one sister poignantly highlights the irony. While society has aggressively targeted affirmative action, allowing legacy students like Christoph, who benefited from family connections, to dominate elite institutions, qualified Black students continue to be underrepresented. Now, she challenges the narrative that blames these students for their presence in competitive environments, emphasizing that true unfairness lies in the systemic advantages granted to those with lineage rather than merit. Now, as we explore this compelling perspective, I invite you, my viewers, to reconsider the implications of legacy admissions and the broader conversation about equity in education. So join me as we unpack this critical issue. Let's take a look at the videos. I will be right back.
Let me make sure I understand this correctly. Some people were so bothered, so pressed about Black people going to college that affirmative action was decimated, destroyed. Whole time, you let Christoph Andrew Brown Joffrey II Vanderbilt III slide by because his pappy and his grandpappy went to the university and had a library established in 1936 named after Christoph. Whole time, Christoph was your worst op. You saw the 2.5 Black children in class in chemistry and calculus 1 when you walked into your college campus, your elite college campus on day 1, and you said, I just know if it wasn't for those 2.5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Black children, my best friend Ashley would have been in this class right now. It is their fault. But one thing about them tables, baby, because I bet you never thought that the next step would be legacy admissions. Stop it. Because if you really want to get into it, if you really want to talk about unfair admissions, people who have advantages, get into it.
California has banned legacy admissions at all public and private universities. The rich are not going to take this line down. What do you mean my daddy's dollars don't work? They always do. My main thing is, though, if you're happy about the rollback of affirmative action, I want you to be clapping about the rollback of legacy admissions. If you truly want to level the playing field in this game of capitalism, this is the way to do it.
Legacy admissions. Let's talk about it. So if you're like me, you probably saw that, there's a lot of articles coming out that the California has decided to do a total state legacy admissions ban. So this is different previously from what California has done. So in the 1990s, California, in terms of their state schools, got rid of legacy admissions in addition to affirmative action. So we have seen 30 years of data of what it looks like to not have legacy admissions within a public system. This is the first time California has banned legacy admissions to impact its private schools. So we're thinking about Stanford, we're talking about USC being impacted by these new laws. And if you read a little bit more, it's kind of interesting whether this will truly be impactful or not. So continue to watch this. So this article is very interesting too. This is one I'm looking at from Politico. It talks specifically about USC complying with this. We have not seen whether Stanford will comply as well, which I thought was also interesting. But one of the things within this law that they had first proposed before it became into effect was penalizing these schools if they don't comply with the law. Somehow in the, negotiations and stuff like that has went away. So do these schools have an incentive now to comply with this law? We have to see. Another thing I think will hold them accountable to making sure that they do comply with this law is that they're being, told that they have to report their data, the demographics when it comes to who's the donor, related to a donor, who is a legacy, as well as income level. Which is nothing new for California. It's probably new to these private schools within California, but California has been very forward in terms of data and demographics since, the overturning of affirmative action within the state, as well as legacy admissions and the public side of things. So it's interesting to see how these people will play out with this. So we have to keep watching. We also need to just look at the data of what these low-income first-generation alumni are benefiting from, are they're truly benefiting at these institutions and are able to generationally create the legacy that these people who are, you know, fourth, fifth generation college legacies are benefiting from, that, you know, you taking away this now from them is not going to hurt them. What it does hurt is those first gen, low income persons of color who now cannot benefit from the wealth building that these other legacy people who have been building for 4 to 5 generations attending these universities get. And I think that's not the conversation people are having yet, is really looking at how does this impact, you know, first generation alumni in terms of their wealth building, and whether they are truly benefiting from attending these universities. Because I think that's implied. It's like, oh, well, you're first gen, you're getting into these universities, therefore you are excelling and exceeding, and you therefore economically should be doing better. Which I don't know if we have all the data to prove that every person who is low income and is a low income alumni and now has attended these universities are truly doing better. I think there needs to be more study into that. And I'm getting a little academic, so I'm going to end it right here. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I want to talk more about this topic, so definitely leave your comments, leave your thoughts. I'd love to go more in detail. I really like this topic a lot.
We told you on affirmative action. Well, today, California became the second state to ban legacy admissions across the state, making it illegal for both public and private colleges to consider an applicant's relationship to alumni or donors. Here's the kicker. Affirmative action is what revealed the extent that legacy status played at elite schools. Public colleges in California already don't practice legacy admissions. This will mostly affect private schools like USC and Stanford, both which oppose this, of course. You're wondering whatever happened with affirmative action. The same group that represented Asian students and sued Harvard to end affirmative action is looking to sue again because they saw notable declines in Asian American enrollment this year compared to last year, saying this defied the expectations that they had when they wanted affirmative action gone. You don't say. It's not like that's exactly what we said would happen. You know, the result after they struck down affirmative action for everybody else is not what they wanted. Now you gotta go back to the courts and cry about something else. Almost like everyone predicted would happen. Anyways, what do you think? Let me know in the comments.
Well, the U.S. Supreme Court may have banned affirmative action in higher ed, but that doesn't stop us from doing something about legacy admissions, and that's what California just did. In the state of California, in both public and private institutions, applicants will no longer be given an edge just because their parents or grandparents went to the same school. This law affects major universities like Stanford, USC, and Santa Clara, all of which had some of the highest percentages of legacy admissions in the state. At USC in particular, nearly 15% of its students were based on legacy or donor connections. Starting in 2025, they're also going to have to be more transparent about who they are admitting, including details like income levels and athletic participation. In fact, Assemblymember Phil Ting pushed this legislation after the Varsity Blues scandal, so no more backdoors for the wealthy and connected in regards to higher ed. It's nice when we can actually celebrate a little progress.
Now, California becomes the 5th state in the US to ban universities from admitting students based on their family connections, and the second state after Maryland to extend the ban to private, non-profit universities. Hard work, good grades, and a well-rounded background should earn you a spot in the incoming class, not the size of the check your family can write or who you're related to. Phil Ting, the Democratic State Assembly member who authored the legislation, said in a statement. Now, private non-profit colleges popular with wealthy Americans, including Stanford and the University of Southern California, will be affected by the new legislation, which goes into effect in September 2025. Illinois, Colorado, and Virginia have previously passed legislation banning public university admission based on legacy status or connections to donors, according to the National Conference of State Legislators. Now, the wave of new state laws comes in response to the decision last year by the Supreme Court's conservative majority to bar both private and public universities from considering race as a factor in college admissions. Now, the litigation over racially based affirmative action put a spotlight on all the ways that PAM-color students benefit from non-racially coded admissions practices, particularly legacy admissions, which media outlets dubbed affirmative action for rich kids. Now, the California law will ban admissions officers from favoring applicants whose family members are graduates of or are significant donors to the school, which Ting's office called an unfair practice often results in a wealthier, less racially diverse student body. Advocacy groups that supported the bill called it an important step forward. In a statement, CEO of Hispanos Organized for Political Equality called it a bold step to dismantle unfair admission practices. Legacy and donor preferences are a recipe for aristocracy, not justice. The law is a critical first step toward ensuring that California's most selective colleges do not further tip the scales in favor of those who already enjoyed the most privilege. A recent Stanford graduate and the lead organizer at Class Action, an organization that fights against inequitable admissions process, said in a statement. Now, across the US, the practice of giving priority university admissions to students with family connections is coming under attack from multiple directions. Last year, the US Department of Education announced it was investigating allegations that Harvard's admissions process discriminates on the basis of race by using donor and legacy preferences in its undergraduate admissions process. Now, in a complaint against Harvard, lawyers for civil rights and nonprofit based in Boston argued that students with legacy ties are up to 7 times more likely to be admitted to Harvard and can make up nearly a third of a class, and that about 70% are PAM color. Now, some high-status private colleges and universities have announced they are voluntarily ending any admissions priority for legacy students, including Johns Hopkins University, Maryland, Amherst College in Massachusetts, and Wesleyan University in Connecticut. Now, a 2023 study that compared students by test scores and income found that wealth played a tremendous role in getting students admitted to elite private colleges. Children from families in the top 1% are more than twice as likely to attend an Ivy Plus college, Ivy League, Stanford, MIT, Duke, and Chicago, as those from middle-class families with comparable SAT or ACT scores, the study concluded, pointing to private schools' preference for admitting children of alumni, among other advantages. Now, under an earlier California law, also authored by Ting, elite private schools in California had been forced to report how many of the students they admitted had benefited in their applications from a personal connection to a donor or from a family member or members previously attending the school. In 2023, Stanford reported that 15.4% of its incoming fall 2023 class, or 271 students, had benefited from a legacy or donor connection, though it said that all of those students had also met the school's academic standards for admission. First-generation students whose parents did not attend college represented 21.2% of the incoming class, Stanford said. Now, the University of Southern California, a school that featured prominently in the recent Varsity Blues admissions bribery scandal, disclosed that for its fall 2023 class, it admitted 1,791 students and enrolled 1,097 based on their relationships to donors or alumni. Now, that was about 14.5% of USC's admitted students, the Los Angeles Times reported. Like Stanford, USC said that every legacy admit met their academic criteria for admissions. Now, in signing the legislation into law, the California governor said the policy would make higher education in the state more fair. In California, everyone should be able to get ahead through merit, skill, and hard work, he said in a statement. Now, the Public University of California system eliminated legacy admissions in 1998. Newsom said, "It's not yet clear how the new anti-legacy laws will play out in practice, since children from wealthy, highly educated, and well-connected families have many different kinds of advantages when approaching the increasingly competitive colleges admissions process." Now, the Supreme Court ending affirmative action for racial minorities in U.S. college admissions is expected to lead to a decrease in the number of students from underrepresented backgrounds who are admitted to U.S. schools with competitive admissions processes, which is what happened at University of California schools when California voters banned affirmative action in 1996. Now, while California's ban on legacy admissions made headlines, it's not the only state taking action. A quiet revolution is sweeping across the nation as institutions and lawmakers rethink the role of legacy admissions in college admissions. Maryland, Texas, and others have joined the fray, restricting or banning legacy admissions in public universities. Proposed bills in New York and Massachusetts signal a growing momentum to level the playing field. Private institutions like Amherst College, Johns Hopkins University, and Dartmouth College have also reformed or eliminated legacy admissions. Harvard, Yale, and Stanford are under pressure to follow suit. We have finally come to the end of the video, but what are your thoughts on this? Share your views, your contributions in the comment section. Thank you for always watching and see you in my next video.